Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Bethlehem Morning Show. I am your host, Sergio Mejia, joined by my co-host, the one and only with his new shoes. Came in bragging about them. Craig Work, what's up, bro?
What's up, bro? I'm so glad to have you back home.
Man, it's good to be home, bro. It's always good to be on here with you, man. We're having a good time. Looking good, I see. Like I said, we got you some new shoes. You came in bragging about them. We're going to tell us about them in a minute, but how you been, bro?
Man, I have been great. I have, like, literally, I have been great. It's been an awesome week.
Yeah.
It's just everything has just kind of fell into place all week. Next week will probably be tough just because I'm saying that, but it's been a good week.
Man, well, you look like you're doing great, bro. It's so good to see you. Good to be on here with our invited guest, which we will get them to talk a lot in a little bit. But, bro, it's so good to be on with you. Like you said, I feel like it's been 10 months. I think it's only been 2 weeks.
It has.
But it does feel like forever.
Well, we miss each other.
Yes, absolutely, bro. You know,
sure.
we I'm thinking about something very funny right now that I'll tell you after the show. But, man, it's just good to be back on, bro. Ready to cut up again, huh?
Yes, tell me, you've been to Chile again, right?
Yeah, that was about it.
Tell us about that real quick.
Yeah, so I think it's probably the last time I was on here, but yeah, me and
10 months ago.
10 months ago, yeah. Me and Pastor V, we got back from Chile a few weeks ago. We had a good time. God really moved and just did his thing. Pastor preached phenomenal words. You know, we're so blessed to have him here, but it's so awesome when you're able to see other people, even from another nationality, experience, you know, our leadership. And not only our leadership, but leadership in AOJC. So, man, we just had a good time. And so, yeah, we're here again.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know while you were in Chile, my wife and I were down in Texas preaching a revival.
Right.
And we got to meet the one and only Kent Jennings. And, bro, he's just like, Brother Craig, you and Sergio's got to have me on the morning show.
Come on,
so, Kent, we coming, bro. You going to be on the morning show with us one day. Soon.
I wish I knew his Instagram handle off the top of my head. Do you know it, Dylan? Because it's funny. It's like Kent America or something like that.
Is it? It's awesome.
Something
Kent
funny.
I love that dude, man.
Legend Kent America, something like that.
Kent America.
The Legend Kent America. Shout out to Kent.
Oh, bro, he was just like, he loves Bethlehem. He loves everything about Bethlehem. He just loves people. And it was a highlight of mine to get to meet and hang out with Kent, because I'm like most, I know Kent through FaceTime, through you boys being at the house, you know what I mean, being on FaceTime to him, social media. But you tell him about a guy, man, he's awesome. He is awesome. But that was awesome to get to meet him.
I don't know if you mentioned it or not, but you probably won't do it. But I know you also got to meet brother Victor Jackson.
I did.
So I know you told me a little bit about that.
It was good, but like, and not trying to take nothing away from Brother Jackson, but like I was so just, I really enjoyed hanging out with Kent Jennings. I really did. Like, I know that people are probably looking like,
he said,
whatever,
forget Brother Jackson.
No, seriously, like
Kent.
Kent is just so full of life that, you know what I mean? You don't think about anybody else in the room when you're in a room with somebody that's full of life like him, and it was awesome. I enjoyed it so much. But yes, it was also a great opportunity to be able to meet Brother Jackson as well, and we just had a good time. But we're back here. We done had some church here, bro. Man, we had some church last week. Golly, wasn't it something? I left here different, guys. Sunday night was phenomenal. I mean, all y'all got is yeah.
I didn't know we were allowed.
It was thick.
I didn't know we were allowed to talk in
bro.
the mics yet. I didn't know we were allowed to talk in the mics yet. I thought we were waiting for you to ask us.
Anytime, bro. Come on now. You're on the morning show. Tell him he's got authorization.
Yeah, you are authorized to speak.
Authorized. Oh, like you want me to reflect on Sunday?
Well, you're
Okay.
speaking, so go ahead.
Well, I mean, it was it was honestly kind of crazy because I had a meeting with Pastor. We were just talking about some stuff, and he told me something that kind of stuck with me. He said he feels like worship is at an altar, because many of you know I like to, Craig likes to say a huckabuck when I shout, and no, not on the morning show. Too early for that. Anyways, but he said that he feels like worship is at an all-time high, and I told him that people like to make jokes about my shouting. He was like, well, it's actually kind of encouraging because sometimes we he feels like worship is at an all-time high, but getting lost in the spirit and shouting, he feels like he doesn't see a lot. And right after we had that meeting, it was like everybody was just lost. Kids were lost over here, like slain, and it was beautiful.
It's been that way the last couple of weeks. Just I'm talking about like the worship has. Of course, we always have great church. We always have great worship. Our people have always got involved in worship, and you know what I mean. It's just our church is just awesome. If you've never been to a church service at Bethlehem and got to be in the middle of such worship like we see weekly, you need to come and do it. It's amazing that we're given to God at that point. The last 2 weeks though. I've heard all my life, Brother Zach, about people, holy rollers, and all these terms and stuff like that. But, we've seen it, but for the last 2 weeks, we have literally seen holy rolling go take place. And it's been awesome to watch these younger guys, your guys' generation, even my generation. I mean, like, really, you said it, slain in the spirit, just going everywhere. I thought Dylan was having a seizure the other night. He started over there, and I'm telling you, I was like, I don't know if he's having a seizure or what's going on, but I know one thing, he is getting it.
The funny thing is I don't know which time you're talking about.
He said back pain for Jesus.
It did. And Brother Marshall, brother bless his heart, he come across that floor rolling, and he smoked that pew over there. And I said, oh, man, he just tore the pew out of the floor.
And 20 seconds later, got up and run too.
Yeah, got right up, took off running. It's awesome. We're not crazy.
Yeah,
we're just crazy for God.
Right. And what's beautiful is the dynamic, because in one moment we'll be worshiping with high intensity, but in another moment it's kind of like the more coming before God at the altar with brokenness, vulnerable, just letting the Spirit deal with you. And I think that's really nice, because I think it can be a little difficult to get to a point in a service like that, where not only do you have the high intensity of praise and worship and holy rolling, as you're saying, but also that place of vulnerability and brokenness where you can come before the Lord like that.
I think one of the coolest parts for me, I've been here 7 years, so I've seen, you can't go a month without having an outpouring of God at Bethlehem. But a lot of times, especially if you ever emceed, you know that there's that transition that has to happen. Now, whether it happens, 10 minutes in the service or 2 hours in the service, there's that transition, and you gotta follow the Spirit. And a lot of times, even and it's God's plan, but you gotta kind of say, transition and somewhat shut it down. Everybody goes back to their seats, and you're like, well, that's going to be it, and the MC will usually tell everybody, just hold on to what we're feeling, but we're going to transition for a minute. And but man, the last 2 weeks, even after the transition, during the giving, like during the offering, it fired right back up. And sometimes it would be a swap, and like you're talking about the dynamic. So the beginning may be like jumping in worship and praising Him. And then after offering, it may be people down on their knees just crying out to God, or vice versa. This past Sunday, it started out very, very heavy, and then it ended light, with everybody, just praising God. And it's awesome to see the flip, and it's cool to see that even if sometimes the technicalities happen and we've got to do this, we still let God move, and there's not a time frame here. There's not a script. It's just flow. I think Ethan's favorite term is we'll just flow. And that's what Bethlehem does, and does well. We just, let God be God.
And to just add something that what you're saying made me think about is, I kind of recall when a lot of preachers come up, or like either MCs, they'll say, with signs following. Not only do people have the experiences of worship, whether it's through high-intensity praise or kind of like getting on their knees, but there's also signs that follow. There's words that God speaks directly to the people, through the people. There's miracles that happen. There's healing and deliverances. And so really it's just such a perfect atmosphere that's created for God to do whatever. And it's so beautiful, because then I'll hop on social media later and people will start kind of giving testimonies on Facebook. Like, oh, God did this, or I came out. And people were like, I'm ready for next Sunday again. And so it's just so beautiful to see that even you said after the transition, I would say after the service. It lingers, where people are going to bed, waking up the next morning like, hey, I want this again. And it's just so encouraging, inspiring, because it shows you God isn't done on Sunday.
There's been several services where we haven't dismissed. Like, it's just, be dismissed whenever you're ready. There hadn't been a formal, hey, here's the announcements, you're dismissed. It's just, when you're done praying and you feel like you're ready to be dismissed, do so. And there's been some people have hung out hour plus after service just praying and talking to God, or two people, maybe talking to each other about what God was dealing with them during that service.
Tell you something else too that's awesome to see. When you do ever pick your head up and look around and observe what's going on around you. Sergio, I know you got kind of a bird's eye view from up here when you're normally playing, and I know you see it as well. It's not just one generation. It's a multi-generational congregation here taking, and that's why we're seeing what we're seeing. That's why we're seeing the revival that we're seeing, and man, it's just I always go back to we're so blessed.
Yeah, and Dylan mentioned it just now. I always see the group of children right here. It's like 5, 6 kids, and they'll be praying for each other. This was so awesome. And then I can't help but imagine that it's so inspiring to their parents, because I look down another 10 minutes later, and their parents are right there with them. And I just think that's so cool, because it goes exactly with what you said. It's the generations coming together to worship, and it sets this powerful atmosphere.
There's nothing no more heartwarming to me, if that's a way of saying it, than to be in the altar praying and feel a little old bitty hand touch you on the back. And the innocence of that, like I'm going to pray for Brother Craig, or I'm going to pray for Brother Sir, or so on. You know what I mean? And like that is just.
And there's something powerful about that too, because the Bible talks about childlike faith, and if you ever talk like when I touch hands on Pico, there's my faith is transferring to Pico when you lay hands. So when they do that, there's power in it.
One of y'all lay hands on me and see if some of this hair, you know what I mean? I feel like my hair's leaving. Their hair's really.
I think Pico's got the best hair.
No, I think he does, bro. He's got the slick look.
Yeah,
That's nice. That's nice.
It is. But it is, though. I mean, like, we're making light of the situation,
right.
But it really is something to what you're saying there. And I believe that, that it's the reason why we're seeing a lot of the healings that we are. It's because the whole church is coming together, and, even the children, they're on board. They see what's happening, and they're getting involved in it.
The prayer room Sunday morning there was a lot of people Sunday morning. But Sunday night, we were getting stuff, the production team was getting stuff ready, finalized, and we were all headed back there. And I got back there 10 minutes or so before service started, and I had to find just a little spot to kind of back into and stand. Like, you couldn't walk without running into somebody. You couldn't sit anywhere else because everywhere was full. People laid out praying in the prayer room. People circled around the log and all that. Like, every square inch of the prayer room was being utilized for prayer. And we don't have a massive prayer room, but compared to a lot of prayer rooms, there's a lot of square footage in there. And the people that were in there, and it's the same way you talked about it here on the worship. There's multiple generations out here worshiping and praying in the altar. Well, same way on pre-service prayer, people getting and ushering the Spirit in before we even come into the sanctuary. Praying for people that haven't made it here yet, or praying for the move of God before it happens up here. And it's awesome to feel that transition, because if there are sometimes I get caught up in here, and so I may not make it to the prayer room right before, but you can feel when people come in, when it kind of, say, unofficially dismisses the prayer room and everybody's coming to the sanctuary for service, you can feel that Spirit coming with everybody.
Ushering in.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
You said we don't have a massive prayer room, but we have massive prayer in that room.
Yes.
It is, bro. Like, I'm telling you, like, growing up and stuff, you know what I mean? You just don't think things are all that important. You know what I mean? Being a teenager, young adults and all that. Now, after living life a little bit and living life not so right, it is a highlight to me. Like, I'm going to the prayer room. I can't go to church without going to the prayer room. It just ain't right. And it literally puts your mind in the place that God is wanting you to be in for this church service. Not for next week, for this one. And it's something, y'all. I don't know where I was going or where that came from. Maybe somebody needed to hear that. I don't know. But maybe it was me needed to hear it. You know what I'm saying? But, like, you think about it. When you change from going in the prayer room to changing to going into the prayer room for that service, that's why we see the results we see.
Sets the tone. Sets the tone. And it's tangible, and you can feel it. It's like dynamite wanting to go off. Like I think you said it when we come in here.
It's what lights the fuse.
I know from back here when I'm on the guitar, everything just feels so like God's just ready to just let something happen. And I mean, the past few Sundays are evidence that just God just does His thing.
One of you said it. It's like we don't follow a script. We don't this. When we step up here and we open up service and we're emceeing and leading service, Brother Ethan, whoever, Brother Austin, Brother V, we all know what our job is. We know what we came for. And that started in the prayer room. That starts in the prayer room. And that's when you get together, and that's the reason why we don't, we have an order of service that we go by. But at the end of the day, we go by God's order, and that starts in the prayer room. And that starts by everybody being in the prayer room and getting in one mind and one accord. So it's really good.
So I work with the production team, and so a lot of times when you're serving in the production team, you kind of feel, and I've had people tell me, and I felt it myself, you kind of feel trapped. And I don't know if I'm the only one there that has felt it, but it seems like it's shifted some in the production team whenever they're serving. So you'll have, of course, there's chairs back there for the sound and stuff, but they're hardly utilized during worship at the moment in this season that we're in. They're pushed out of the way or they're pushed under, and the production team is like worshiping while they're serving. And this may sound strange, but I've watched a lot of people leave their spot to come up here, and that makes me like beyond joyful because I want them to feel comfortable enough to leave and come down here if they feel led. And I try my best when I get a chance to remind everybody, tell everybody that if you feel led to come down here, go. But and they have, and the reason it makes me happy is because you don't have to be a preacher or an MC or a musician or a singer, for you to feel God moving and for you to be a key point in the move of God for that service. And I've watched them. I've watched some of the people get off the camera and come all the way from the back. It's the furthest point they can be from what's happening up here distance-wise and remain in the sanctuary. I've watched them come down, walk up here, and go straight to somebody that God was dealing with them on, start praying for them, and then that whole area, the whole pew or the whole area just break out in worship. And and we got a good enough team where we fill in that spot. But it's awesome to see that regardless of what you would say your role, or regardless of what you're doing in that service, regardless of age, regardless of gender, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of what it is, God's using everybody, and everybody's on fire. Bethlehem's been in revival since I've been here. But it's so cool. Everybody's like, well, we're in another level of revival. And when I first started going here, I'm like, what more? How many more levels of revival are there? It's God's moving.
That's true.
I started thinking at first, I'm like, oh, they're just saying that to get people pumped up. But it truly is different. Like it's a different feel or it's a different target. But it's just like now it's this level of revival that we have is getting our little kids. My oldest is 10 years old. She's one of the ones that'll walk up to the front and pray with people and worship. And it's awesome to see this level of revival that we're in.
To kind of cap that point off, because I know we're about to transition, a lot of it has to do with the expectation, because I feel like everything that we do, whether it's like going to the prayer room before service, like Zach is saying, people coming off of the cameras, they do that because they're coming up to the front and they're setting the atmosphere for the service because there's an expectation. Really, without that expectation and that desire, God wouldn't move, And so I think it's that expectation that people show through their actions and the things that they do, how they prepare, what they do before service, but also during the service that sets this tone of revival, as what Brother Zach is talking about. And so, man, I know we could go on and on talking about the wonders of this stuff, but, it's awesome. We're blessed. We are very blessed. One more thing that I just would like to add. I've seen so many young people visit our church from other churches, and this is not to degrade any other church or anything like that, but I've seen how people, both young and older, but since I'm younger, I can kind of point it out easier with the young people, how they come because they see that what God is doing here is a true revival. they see the atmosphere that's happening. They see how God's moving in a way that is incorporating everybody. And so I'm just thankful to be part of this, and we're all parts of it. Everybody's a part of it. The people watching, you guys are a part of it. But, man, it's just incredible, bro.
As you know, I was sitting here thinking while you was talking, we cannot have what we have if we don't move. You know, and that's something you'll see me push people to do right off the bat anytime is, hey, get up, come on up here. Because I know there was many a times that I walked in this church and I sat down in a pew needing God to do something in my life, but I never would get up and do it for myself, so why would he do it for me? You know what I'm saying? Like, he can give it to us all we want, but if we don't get up and accept it, it's just the way it is, you know. So, and that's the reason why we're seeing what we're seeing, because we're seeing more people get a hold of that mindset of, hey, I walked in the door the first time for me. The second time I'm coming in here for somebody else, and I'm coming in here for God. So that's the reason why we're seeing that switch, and it's just awesome. We're blessed, as we've all said, and we've had the Christmas carol this week, and it was phenomenal. I came last night, and, man, it was just great. I've been 3 years in a row now, and it's something. I get something out of it every time I come in and I sit down. Last night it just broke me sitting down there when Sister Abby was up here singing, and just to know that, you know, that's life. That's real life. People are really out here struggling to make ends meet. They're struggling to keep food on the table. They're doing all they can, and they're still believing in God. And it just broke me that, you know what I mean? We saw that last night. Not trying to make light of any one situation that may be watching, but God sees you, and he hears you. And it just got to me last night. I just got to thinking about Brother Dylan, just times in Kenyon and I's, you know, life, you know, like that. We've been at times where didn't know what we were going to do, Brother Zach. Honestly, did not know what we were going to do. But God, he never left us. He never left us. He was always there. So tell me a little bit. You guys, you were in the play. You were in the play. Sergio, you were the last couple of years.
Yes, sir.
Y'all talk a little bit about your character that you played and what it meant to you to play that.
Well, the first year I was just kind of an extra, but the last couple of years I've been.
Well, you were a little extra then, so.
Yeah, that's a good point. Still a little extra now, but no. The last couple of years I've played Bob Cratchit, Scrooge's employee, I guess you could say. He's the one that you're talking about. He's Tiny Tim's dad, you know, struggling. And in all honesty, I don't think I relate to him as much because I'm not a father yet. You know, I don't have a family that I have to provide for, so that's not the stage of life that I'm in. But the person I relate to probably most in the play is probably young Scrooge. You know, because Aaron's in the back there running sound. But, you know, he does a good part with that. But the reason I relate to him is, you know, things happen and he got bitter because of it, you know, and things have happened in my life where I've been very, you know, like, you know, God, why does this happen? Like, why do you have to, almost angry at God? And it's, you know, at my young age, I see that now, like, I can look at the play now and reflect, like, you know, that's not how it is. Kind of like Scrooge. And, but I can relate a little bit to Bob Cratchit in a way, maybe not relate, but the way I see it as is, playing the characters opened my eyes to, like there's a song saying that I'm grateful. There's so many things that I should be grateful for that I haven't been, and it's really opened my eyes to just, you know, be more, you know, every day just be like, hey God, I'm thankful for all you've done for me, and open my eyes to see what all I am grateful for. So,
you know, I look at the character Bob Cratchit, and I see a guy who is sold out to God, no matter his situation at home, no matter his situation in life, his job, he's sold out to God. And not only does God reward that, he also uses him and his situation to change the life of the man that he works for. So, you know, it's the importance of that character is stay faithful, stay true to what you know. even if you're having to suffer a little bit,
In every situation.
if
Stay
you're
focused.
having to sacrifice, stay true to God, and God will make a way.
Well, I'll be brief. I want to let Brother Zach speak on his part. This year, I wasn't able to be on the play. I had other things I had to take care of, so I wasn't able to go to the practices. But my role was the doctor, and kind of like Dylan said, I don't really relate to the doctor. The doctor really isn't too prominent in the play. He does deliver the important news towards the end that Tiny Tim was going to die. And that is probably the most crucial part of the play in one aspect because it's really what causes Scrooge to change his heart. But I guess kind of like Dylan said, I would relate more to Scrooge and more of because I think one of the whole messages, one of the themes that I get from the play, from Scrooge's life, is that there's such a need for reflection. Reflection in one's life to analyze who you've become from the things that you've gone through. Scrooge had to be made aware of things that he wasn't necessarily ignorant to, but never really took the time to analyze. He had to be taken to his past. He had to analyze. He had to be shown his present, but he also had to be shown what would be made of his future. And I think what's so unique about that is that like these were things that Scrooge wasn't necessarily unaware of to a full extent. He wasn't aware of some things, but my whole point is that things were brought to him into a light in a way that made him realize that he had become who he had become because of things that he never really dealt with. I know you kind of say, like, he became bitter. But that was just one of so many things that Scrooge has become because the whole time you see that he has a good heart. He's a good person behind all the things that he's gone through. And it's because of the circumstances that he became who he was. But that's why I kind of relate to him because it makes me, almost makes me want to self-reflect and kind of go through my moments of, well, hey, look, if a play is teaching you that, you could be missing things that cause you to become certain things and it can make your future be bad, what is it that I may need to be aware of that I'm not seeing right now that could change?
When I was looking at up here, and first of all, I'd like to just say every cast member done a great job. Everyone done just fantastic. To know these guys and ladies, and then to watch them, use their anointing in a play like they did, it just does something to you to know that you're a part of that same church. And I'm not trying to spotlight them, but I am because I'm proud of them. But
You like you're about to start crying.
well, I mean, it really does something to you to know that you're a part of a body that doesn't just get out here. You can actually pick up a character and let your anointing and let God show through that character and let God use you in multiple ways of your life. Some may have not even realized that they had the abilities to do what they've done during this. You know what I mean? Until they were put on the spot and asked to do it. So it's just awesome, the vulnerability of that. Some of the lives, some of the characters that were played, I'm sure some of them can probably say, hey, I can relate to that character that I was playing, and I do need to change some things. I mean, that's me. When I'm looking at Scrooge, I'm like, wow, I need to change some things, because we all get that way. We get fixated on the things that we idolize the most, and we forget about the most important things a lot of time. Because we get fixated on making money, and which was Scrooge. You know what I mean? He became bitter. He put his focus on making money, and money became his God. He even said it: "Gold is God." So we all can learn something from that, and I definitely have learned a lot, Brother Zach.
So I've played Angel 2 for the last 3 years. I want to start off with what you mentioned a minute ago. Originally, I wasn't supposed to be in the play the first year. I was just helping build the set, and I was helping do some of the technical stuff, and that was it. We were probably 2 weeks before the play starts, and something happened, and a role had to be filled. It was Angel 2. I don't like being in front of people. This is a little bit different because I'm looking at y'all. I'm not looking out there, and there's nobody else in here.
Thousands of people looking at you right now, but I mean,
let's ignore. I can't see their eyes. So, luckily, I couldn't see anybody else's eyes up there either because the lights are in my face. So it worked out good. But it was awesome for me. Not so much that I did a good job because there's so much.
You did a great job.
Well, I appreciate it. But that it was something that I had never done, and I was able to do it. And I tell Ethan all the time, I want you to know that the only reason I did it was because you needed somebody to do it, and he does so much already. I was like, I'll try it. So I mean, it can't be no worse than not having one up there. So let's try it out. And I think the character for me to relate to it, he's kind of, it's a little bit unintentional. He's a little harsh and he's a little sarcastic with Scrooge. He's a little blunt. Kind of starts out kind of playing, and then he just gets to the point. Again, I don't know if it's a good thing or not.
Which is you, bro.
Yeah, so that's what I was getting at. I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but I've had people tell me before that in the production team especially, they'll come up, somebody else will, and they're like, well, they didn't want to talk to you because they were like either scared of me or they didn't know what to do. I was like, what? There's no way. So I don't know. Apparently, I'm not that inviting, but whatever. That's
being scary.
Yeah, I'll try to. See, that's what I am, an angel. Like, I don't get the problem, but it's really cool. I think for me, the most impacting part of the play itself is not just the characters or what they play. It's watching all of these people. There's multiple cast members. From people, it's not just about the mic to cast members. You've got the kids that played a massive role this year, just showing and bringing life to it, and them dancing, and them, their routine, their choreography, so to speak, for the when everybody's up here together right before I'm in Love, was perfect because it wasn't perfect. Like it seemed very real. They were just kids having fun on the edge of the stage. To the people dancing, to the prop people, the stage crew that are moving stuff up and moving stuff down, to the sound, the lights. Man, the lights are phenomenal. Austin has spent a lot of time on that. But there's been so much blood, sweat, and tears in this prayer. There's been so much love that has gone into this, and being able to be a part of it, not just on the day of the performance, but watching all these people come together that outside of the play may not. I know we go to the same church, but not all 50 people can hang out at once, because it just doesn't happen. But when it comes to the play, we all get to come together. We're together several afternoons, late nights, for months at a time, getting ready, and basically building our lives around this play at the end of the year, and watching people step up and let God use them. Some in and some out of their comfort zones. For me, that's the most impacting part. And it's just awesome to watch people that are sometimes scared to speak out, get up here and act and being a part. Just like some people they don't want to come to a church service, they'll come to the play. It's just cool to watch.
Yeah, you're talking about all the things coming together. You think about, we moved church on Wednesday nights into the prayer room, so that you guys can have the sanctuary to practice and stuff. And, that's a lot of moving parts. That's a lot of things that's got to take place. That's a lot of different personalities that's got to realize that they got to go to a different room to have church in, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not meaning that. But, there's a lot of different things taking place during this time, and everybody just pulls together and we make it happen. And it's awesome.
Y'all have had church in the prayer room. Like, not just they went in there to have church, but y'all have had church in the prayer room. It's cool to see that. I love watching it every year because we go from this with the lights and the PA and the LED wall and all that to a room with 2 speakers, a mic, an acoustic guitar, and some chairs. And the same God that moves in here on a Sunday night with a packed house is the same God that moves in there on Wednesday night with a couple speakers and an acoustic guitar. I love watching it. I love seeing it.
What's awesome about it is you get to see the elders get to go back to their sanctuary, because that's the old sanctuary. And they get to go back to that old feel of the way church was back when they were our age or younger, Yeah. And in that very same room. And to watch Bishop Wilson, I think it was last year, he was in there and he was taking care of it, and he was just reminiscing, just telling about how such and such got the Holy Ghost right there, such and such, you know what I mean? And just he was reliving those moments, and just to sit back and watch the joy on him to rehash some of those old memories. bro, that spiritual heritage. It was just, and a lot of these people are already passed and gone on to heaven, and that he was referring to, and it was just something to watch the faces of the people that they remembered it. They were there to just light up, and it was something to watch. It was pretty cool, pretty cool. Brother Dylan, you got anything else you want to add to Bob Cratchit?
I think he wanted to sing "We Are Thankful."
Honestly, that is my least favorite song of the play, the one that we sing. I'm like, sorry, Ethan, but that is my least favorite song.
Well, I have to give Brother Ethan props for being the music director around here that he is, because I've heard people sing in this play that I didn't know could sing. Not sure that they still can sing, but they have sung in this play. I'm playing. I'm playing.
To sing.
Shots fired.
Yeah, shots fired from the morning show. Anyways, guys, you all did a great job. I look forward to it. Every year, my kids are in it as well, and, that's always a plus for a parent to get to watch your kids be able to participate in something. So it's my boys got to step up and play bigger roles this year, so that was cool for us to watch that, just them becoming adults and becoming, in roles that they've grown into. And I promise you, my boys, and I'm not bragging, I don't mean to say my boys, but they've been here through all the play. I guarantee you, Layden Work can probably recite every word to everything. Everybody's different because he's just been here, like you said. Those kids that have been a part of it.
He was my son this year.
He was your son this year. Well, you need to pay some child support, there, big boy. Praise God.
Hey, Bob Cratchit don't get paid for that.